Greetings, greetings, disruptors. It is Coach Selina once again here with you to talk about the business of you. We are in our second key of the business of you, and it is all about greetings, disruptors. It is Coach Selina once again here with you to talk about the business. Okay, bear with me because I was getting a little playback. Um, I had to mute myself. All right, all right. So, the second key to the business of you is set boundaries like a business. Boundaries, when I was growing up, I didn't even know what that was. Never had heard that word. Boundaries. And now we know that if we don't have them, it could lead to overwhelm. It could lead to you not getting your needs met. I like to say that boundaries help you get your needs met. So we're looking at all things you. The second step is boundaries like a business. Just to recap, this is a 7-part series on the business of you. Okay. The business of you is, tell you those 7 keys. The first key is to clarify your vision and purpose. The second key is to set boundaries like a business. Your third key is to financial freedom, set financial freedom as a personal KPI. So to see your financial freedom as a key performance indicator, because that's what we're striving for, right? And then your fourth key is time management as an act of self-love. And then the fifth key is the power of accountability. And your sixth key is healing as a reinvestment strategy. That's a cheat code right there. And then the seventh key is discover your power. All right. So let's get into it. For this second key, boom, boom, two, numero numero. Um, we're going to talk about setting a boundary action plan, creating a boundary action plan. It's an essential step to help you protect your time, your energy, your peace, like really get your needs met. It's for your well-being. So we're going to talk about 4 steps in setting your boundary action plan. Okay. All right. So the first step is identify where your boundaries are needed. You probably have some, as I talk about this, that pop right in your head right away. So write those down. Don't lose track of them, right? And sometimes things sound good in your head, and then you lose it. Okay. So write these down. Class is in session. So get your pen, your paper, or, you know, your notes app up on your computer and share with a friend because we're going to help you get your shit together. That's why we're doing this, right? That's what we do around here. I help women struggling to get their shit together so that they can have financial and time freedom to live a life that they love. And that's what I'm doing. All right. So I want to help you get the same. Let's do it. So, step 1, identify where boundaries are needed. And so you can start this by asking yourself, in which areas do I feel overwhelmed, resentful, or drained? Which areas do you feel overwhelmed, resentful, or just no energy, like fully drained? Could that be sometimes you spend too much time on the phone helping others? You just signed up for just one more thing that you didn't have time for in the first place. Could it be because you are saying yes to things when you really want to say no? That's a key indicator. And if it is, write it down. Are there consistently people that like cross your boundaries? Probably because they don't know that you have boundaries. Have you been clear about certain things or situations that are constantly crossing your limits? We'll talk about that. So some common areas where that might be the case: relationships, work, your actual business if you're a business owner, your family, personal time. A big one for me is social media. I got to put some limits on that. And then your self-care. Are you honoring your self-care time? One of my strategies for that, when I realized kind of what was happening and I was saying yes to numerous things and felt like you just don't have time for yourself. That I realized I felt like I was trying to fit myself into my own day. And if that's you, one of the boundaries that I set for myself, there was a couple of things. So I can share. One is I started setting my phone to automatically turn off at 8 o'clock. So I would tell people so they would know, don't call me after 8 o'clock because my phone is off. It automatically shuts off. If you don't have the heart to say, just don't call me after 8. I'm not available after 8 p.m. or whatever time that needs to look like for you. And then that would be the first thing that I would say is, if somebody wanted to call, because then I needed that downtime for the evenings to do the things that I wanted to get done, take my spiritual bath, journal, things like that. Then the other thing that I started doing was I realized I need at least 3 hours in the morning to myself. I started making the time that I needed at the beginning of my day rather than trying to figure it in throughout the day or what have you. And when I started doing that, so I was getting up earlier. And when I started doing that, I realized I need 3 hours. I would start work at about 8, 8:30. So I needed 5:30 a.m. to be getting up so that I could pray, spend time at my altar. I could journal. I could take a bath at Rise. I get the most downloads when I'm in the water, when I'm either taking a bath or a shower. And I prefer baths. So to have that time and not feel rushed, it was amazing. It is amazing. So that could be some ways where you can set boundaries, where you have personal time, you know? So think about that. So that's the first one, right? Identify where the boundaries are needed. And just start with 3. You don't have to have a whole entire list because it's going to become a practice for you to get this done. So don't overwhelm yourself in that. And let me know if you have questions around that. Drop questions in the chat for me. If you're watching this video on a replay, absolutely. Send me your questions. This is my jam. For a long time, I didn't get boundaries until I was in my 50s. Go figure. So it may take a while for some of you if you're an overgiver. If you've lived a life of service and serving. So this is a new practice that you got to get into. Okay. That's why the series is called Business of You, because now it's time to mind your business, right? Second key is and let me just run back those areas where you may want to take a look at this, just for the good of the order. Relationships, friendships, situationships, whatever the ships look like that are in relation. That's family members, best friends, all the things. Some of that needs to look at because, and what you might find as I say that and as I think about that, what you may find is people may feel some kind of way about that. And I want you to think about that and ask yourself, why might that be if it's for your own good and your best interest? Because they were probably getting something out of it. So don't be surprised if somebody say something off the cuff, come out at you sideways, feel some kind of way about it. because they were benefiting with you allowing your boundaries to be crossed and walked over and giving so much of yourself. Okay. And it's okay. You can do it. I'm here with you. Let me know if you need help with that. Okay. And then the second one is define your boundaries clearly. Yes, that's going to be the big one. That's why I say right out the gate, hey, after 8, this is what it is. And people have been offended by me saying that. It's okay. They'll get over it. They'll get over it. Okay. So define your boundaries clearly. Get specific. Describe what your boundary looks like in each area. It's for you. Okay. Step 2. You might need uninterrupted time to work on your business or a craft if that's something that you want to do, a hobby, right? So set boundaries. I'm not available at this time. And you don't even have to say why if you don't want to. That's up to you. In the beginning, you may feel the need to explain when you don't really have to, but if you do, and you'll get better at it, you'll get better at business, building that muscle. You know, you can just say, I won't be taking personal calls during working hours. And the work could be fun, you know, could be fun time, whatever. What's important is that you say it and you're clear about the fact that you will not be available and when you won't be available. Okay. Maybe you need a full day to yourself. Everybody knows that Saturdays is my Sabbath. I don't do anything I don't want to do on Saturdays. I don't run any errands. Um, I run all my errands through the week because they feel like work to me. And guess what? Everybody else is out in the street running errands. So it takes longer. And then I'm exhausted. So Saturday is a full rest day for me. And I honor that as much as possible. Now, if I decide I want to work on a Saturday, that's just between me and myself. Nobody else necessarily knows that, right? But I leave that day specifically for me. And Sundays mostly. I wanted as a way to serve, I started doing Sundays for this podcast, but that might change too because I'm starting to feel that I need another full day. Okay. So drop some days of the week that might work for you if I move my coaching conversations to another day of the week rather than being on Sundays. They definitely won't be Saturdays. I love my Saturdays off and sleeping in or spending time with family and friends, whatever I feel like doing, while everybody else out there running errands and all of the things. That's just not I haven't done that. I've had Saturdays off probably since the pandemic, probably before that, but that's when it comes to my mind. Okay. So you're going to get specific on what the boundaries are for each area that you chose, right? You gotta define what that is going to look like for you. Okay. Then you got to be clear about it. Okay. And then I'm gonna just read out what I have here, right? Define the actions or behaviors that are also unacceptable to you and how you respond if they occur. That's very important. You already know what you're going to say. So you don't have to be hemming and hawing and guessing. This will include like your phone usage, re reducing time spent with certain people. I know I have a friend, our calls usually go 3 hours. All I really got to give is between 15 and 30 minutes on the phone. I'm typically drained because I spend a lot of FaceTime and Zoom with clients, all of the things. And by that time, I'm tired of hearing my own voice. What about you? You know, where does it drain you? When I was going into the office in corporate America and being on a computer all day at work, I never wanted to look at a computer when I got off work. I don't know about you. What would that look like for you? All right. So set a boundary with the people, with your phone usage, your screen time. setting hard stops for working hours, especially if you work in remote. It's easy to look up and so much time has gone by. Set a timer. And if you got phones now, they will talk to you and you can say on there, it's time to stop working, Selena. So set it 15 minutes before it's time to start so you can get yourself together and then shut it down and transition into whatever else you want to do at that time. Is that wind down? Is that meditate? Is that journal? Maybe that is connect with somebody that you enjoy talking to. Spending 10 minutes or 15 minutes with the people that you love, giving them some face time. You know, I have a coach that shared that's how she gives each member of her family their special time. It's 10 minutes focused time talking about whatever they want to talk about, and they look forward to that. I'm starting to do that with my son because he's always on the go, pretty busy. And I miss my baby. He lives all the way out in LA and I'm here in Cleveland. And so I enjoy our talks and checking in with him and things like that. So I'm implementing that. And I didn't even tell him. Maybe I should tell him that that's actually what I'm doing. So we can make that time too. But yeah, I've been actively doing that. And so that'll be step number 2. Define your boundaries clearly and be clear about them when you are letting people know. Do that for each area because can't nobody read your mind. All right. All right. Okay. And let me just check. I am talking straight into the Zoom. Let me see if there's anyone. This is live. So let me see if there's anyone out there with any questions. All right. All right. All right. I see you, Wayne. Go on and spill the tea. Let me know how I'm doing in the chat. All right. Step number 3 is plan your response. Remember, this is a boundary setting action plan. So you're going to plan the responses, right? Consider the reactions. Think about how others might react to your boundaries and prepare yourself to stand firm. Because you're already going to feel some kind of way when you say something to somebody. You already know how they're likely to respond. So think ahead of how you want to respond. Okay. And you can say, hey, I need to cut this off. I don't feel like I have enough time for me in this area. I need to refocus it on something else. I get overwhelmed and I'm realizing, and maybe you feel even stressed, right? So you want to be clear about that. Or maybe it's you want to dedicate more time to that person. And so you got to give something else up to be able to do that. And whatever that looks like for you, it only has to matter to you. What other people think, what other people feel, all of those things, it really is not your business. That's their business. So you be over here minding your business and let them go ahead and mind their business. So they have to figure out another way or something else if it doesn't serve you. Okay? So remind yourself that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-care and empowerment. I like to say self-love. It is an act of self-love to put boundaries in place because it helps you get your needs met. People think boundaries are for other people. Boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for you to get your needs met. Remember that because the lack of you not having boundaries is serving other people. It's not serving you. Okay? Real talk. Real talk. Decide on the consequences. For any boundary to be effective, it is essential to decide on consequences if the boundary is crossed. For example, if a friend repeatedly calls you during work hours, I'll silence my phone or follow up after a convenient time. And I had a friend that consistently did that, and I just stopped responding. I would remind them my phone is off until this point. And so if you are in working hours, you may want to honor your own boundary and turn your phone off or put it on work time or focus time. I know with the iPhones, we can set those boundaries on the phone, which is a nice thing, right? And so take advantage of that. I schedule and put everything on the calendar that's important to me that I want to do because it's my calendar. And we all know what gets scheduled gets done. If you don't schedule time in for it and all of those things, then they're likely not going to happen. You're just talking. And we want to be about it. We want to take action because this is for you. This is going to benefit you. Okay. All right. And I think I said there were 4 steps, but there's 5. I see that there's 5 on my list. Okay. All right. Any questions on step number 3? We are oh, I got some good stuff on here too. We're gonna have to look at that. So it is step number 3 was plan your response. All right. Consider the reactions. Think about how you want to react to the boundary. Decide on the consequences if somebody steps over the boundary or crosses the limit that you have set. All right. And now let's get into step number 4 is practice your scripts. Keep it clear and respectful. Use simple, direct language to communicate your boundary. And avoid over explaining or apologizing for your need. Remember, I said this is how you get your needs met. So that's number 4. I mean, that's plain and simple. Practice it. Practice it with another friend, maybe somebody that you're comfortable doing it with, or just get on Zoom like I'm doing, and you can record yourself on Zoom and then run it back and see how it feels and how it sounds. So that's a good way to be able to do that. Ah, all right. I see I got a question. Can you show how to set limits for iPhone users? So on the iPhone, which I love, there is a section right in the top right of the phone where if you swipe down, whoops. Oh man, they didn't change some stuff on me. I didn't even know that this was there. This is new, y'all, with the new update. It It took me to airplane mode, AirDrop, Wi-Fi, cellular data, Bluetooth, personal hotspot. Wow, it actually took me into a particular section. Let me see. Mine is on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so it's in the notification center. And with my background, it's not really showing. But in the notification center, there is a section that it might say focus by default, but then you can click it and it'll give you the options. So my options, because I haven't customized it, but you can. I have do not disturb, I have personal, I have work, I have sleep, which when I set the sleep options on my phone, it automatically goes into sleep mode, like I said, at 8 o'clock. Reading, so you can set your reading time, and mindfulness, when you just want to make sure that you just being present in the room. Okay. So I'm not sure what that looks like on the Android, but you can just pick this, and you can set a time frame, but you don't have to set a time frame. You can turn it off when you decide. When I go into do not disturb mode, I don't even set a time because 9 times out of 10, I need more time than what I really set in the first place. So I just don't allow myself to be interrupted like on here. I don't have a hard stop because I'm in the flow, and I love being on YouTube because it allows me to just talk to you all as long as I would like. So I love YouTube in that way. Okay. And thanks for that question. So And let me know if there are more out there as you're listening to this replay, and I can follow up and do a quick video for you on that as well. So step 5 is commit and reinforce. So hold yourself accountable. That's the commitment, right? Because you want people to honor your boundaries. You need to honor your boundaries yourself. So don't self-sabotage yourself. Setting a boundary is only the first step. Enforcing it is crucial for it to happen. Stick to the boundary, even if it's uncomfortable. I know it may feel like it's uncomfortable, but when you enjoy the benefits of having set that boundary, you're gonna get stronger with that practice. You're gonna want more of that. Okay. So self-check. Regularly evaluate how well your boundaries are working and make adjustments as needed. Right? I only think of the time I had to make an adjustment. Yeah, when I was figuring out how much time I needed in the morning. Yeah, I would get up. I think I first started off at like getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And that was a struggle for me, one. And I realized I only needed 3 hours. So I could pull back a little bit on the time that I was going to bed. So things like that. So you'll figure out and make your adjustment. My sweet spot is really between 4:30, 5:30 time frame, depends. Now that I make my own hours, um, I can shift it around sometimes, but the goal is ideally 5 a.m. Okay, so you'll figure out what that looks like for you. All righty. All right. So commit and reinforce is step number 5. Hold yourself accountable and do self-checks regularly. Evaluate how well your boundaries are working and make adjustments as needed. And you'll know because you won't feel like anything's changed. You know, the goal is for this to give you more energy, time, peace, and power. Okay? That's owning your power. Okay? All right, so let's talk about some practical scripts for setting boundaries, right? I'm not going to leave you hanging. I told you to create some scripts. Let me give a couple to you here, okay? So here's some practical scripts for different scenarios to help your client, to help you communicate boundaries confidently. All right? So the first one would be with family and friends, right? Around maybe protecting your personal time, because that's one that's probably going to be the biggest one, that you are not honoring your personal time because you've been giving it to everybody else. So I'm focusing on my personal projects right now, so I won't be able to join every family event. I'll let you know in advance which ones I can attend. That sounds fair, right? I got some things that I'm working on, and I'm not coming over every Sunday unless you want to. Or maybe you're going to go and you're going to cut your time short, you know, 30 minutes or an hour instead of 3 hours, right? So you decide. When you need space. I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed, so I'm going to take some time for myself this week, or today, or tomorrow. I may not respond to messages right away, but I'll reach out once I'm available. That's the key. I will reach out when I'm available. That's a big one, because I do know that people want to say, well, give me a call when you get a minute, like a guilt trip kind of thing. Sometimes I've seen that as a way for people to call and say, you've heard that saying, don't call me, I'll call you. Right? And that's okay. All right. Here's another one: limiting negative conversations. And this is with family and friends, more than likely, right? Um, yeah, I have one of these for me. I want our conversations to be positive and supportive. So I'd appreciate it if we avoid discussing whatever the topic is. It could be I have so many in this area. I had one with a family member, they were going through a divorce, and every conversation would turn to something with the kids, their kids. And then we'd end up in this long conversation and all of that. And it was just a lot. I didn't want to keep having that same conversation. And we're talking about this went on for years, right? And then, so let's focus on uplifting each other. You know, the other one was I had a friend where I realized that we used to talk at each other, that we weren't hearing each other, we weren't listening. And I said to them, I don't want to do this. I realize that we don't listen to each other. It's like we're talking at each other, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so then it got to a point where I realized that wasn't changing. They didn't want to do anything about it. So at first, I would just get off the phone, make an excuse to get off the phone, um, because I could see that it was clear. And then I stopped calling them altogether. And then they would call me, and I would give it a chance, see how it would go. And it would still lead to the same things. And I was just like, I just hear it, this is not working for me. I don't feel that you hear me. I don't feel that you see me, you know? And I was like, so I'm good. And so you know, I just stopped. And after a while, they weren't getting the memo. I just blocked them. I was done. So you get to decide. You get to set those boundaries. Everybody does not necessarily deserve your energy. And especially if it's negative and they're draining your energy, you know? So, it, and that probably would take time. You don't have to be heavy-handed with it. You just have to make sure you're honoring yourself. Okay? Because that was painful for me. That was a friendship that I had for a very long time. But it also made me realize that we weren't the friends that I thought we were. Once I really start setting boundaries in place and really sitting with myself and making time for myself, things got a lot clearer, and you'll be able to see who's being served by you not being the person that you want to be, by you not meeting your goals and doing the things that you want to do. Because people who love you will cheer you on, and they may even say it's about time. They wanted that for you. Okay. So that's boundaries with family and friends. The next scripts for some boundaries, and let me know which ones resonate too. Which ones are some keepers, and where you made adjustments. Okay. The next one is boundaries with work and clients. For setting work hours. I'm available for work hours and emails between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. This is a good one. I have one friend, she would work over all the time and had no, low limitations, just whatever the job would need. Well, hey, takers are gonna take if you're a giver. So you got to be careful about that. So after that, I dedicate time to family and personal life, right? I'm only available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So honor that. You honor that too. Only be available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't then go work till 6. Because then if you ain't honoring your boundary, you can't expect anybody else to honor it, okay? So let them know. You don't even have to say what you're doing with your time, okay? I'll respond during the next morning work hours, okay? All right, here's another one. When overloaded with work, I'm at capacity right now, so I won't be able to take on any additional projects until, if there's a specific date, or let's revisit it then, or I'm happy to recommend someone else for immediate assistance. It's okay to say no, y'all. I used to say it all the time. Nicely, right? I'm at capacity right now. Another good one is this a priority? Like, when do you need this by? That's a really good question. You know, when you're at capacity and you feel like you can't take on anything else at work? When do you need this by? It is okay to ask that question. It's a legitimate question. And you can identify, okay, I've got these three things that I'm working on. Is there one that you would like me to stop working on to work on this? Those are such powerful questions that you are going to be feeling yourself when you get vocal and ask those questions. And then people will look and feel differently. They're going to know, okay, all right, I can't overstep that boundary. I can't just put all of this on them, because that's what you want, right? It's okay. You may feel bad at first, but I assure you, you will feel really good once you have time to yourself, for yourself. Okay? Protecting your focus time. This is at work, because that's what ends up happening at work. You don't get enough time to focus on the work that you got to do because there's so many things on the list and what's going on. So I'll be dedicating the next few hours to focused work. So I'll be offline and won't be responding to messages. I'll check back and reply once I'm finished. Real talk. That's great. And you don't even gotta blast that to everybody. Only the people that you know that are gonna come looking for you. Whatever feels comfortable for you in the work environment that you have. But now, this only works if you honor it. You gotta honor it. You have to honor it. Okay? Because you could be the problem also. So don't do these things if you know you're not ready to do them, because then nobody is going to honor what you're asking because you're not honoring. So you gotta show that this is what you really want. Okay. Another boundary script for romantic relationships: when you need time alone. I love spending time with you, but I also need time for myself to recharge. That's big. Some people are a little needy and they're going to feel some kind of way about that. But you can just say, I'll be taking Sunday afternoons as my personal time to focus on my interests. It's important. And you should want them to go focus on their interests if they don't. That could be an indicator to them, oh, I need to do the same thing. I need time for me. Yeah, get a life. It'll really serve your relationship when people have time for themselves. I've been in a space where, it was a person that just wanted all of my time. I could not think that it was so much going on that they needed. Yeah, that's not where it's at. That's a red flag for me. I love spending time with people I love, but I love spending time with me too. Once you start having energy, peace, your power, whoo, you ain't gonna know what to do with yourself. You're gonna be in love with yourself. And that's what we're getting to, right? This is about self-love, your self-care, your self-loving care for yourself. All right. Okay. Um, so that's what that is, right? I need time for myself. And it don't even have to be a certain day. You can just say, hey, I'm gonna need some time for myself. I'll talk to you later, right? Um, Setting boundaries around communication in a relationship. I'd appreciate it if we would avoid texting during work hours unless it's urgent. It helps me stay focused and allows us to connect fully when we talk later. Oh yeah, that's a huge one. I don't like personally, if I'm in a relationship with someone, I like face to face and hearing the person's voice, because text don't do nothing for me. I'm a connector. I'm intuitive. I like to relate with people. So I'm only good for really two texts. If I'm texting you longer than two text messages, woo, I am really giving a lot of myself. And so I tell people that right up front. I'm only good for two texts. I remember I met a dude and he was like, he only wanted to text. Like, I don't even remember the stuff he said. And I was like, what? How are you a grown man and all you want to do is text? Yeah, that's not gonna work for me, brother. We didn't have no more conversation after that conversation, right? That's honoring a boundary. Why would I subject to myself to that? He don't want to text. I want to have a conversation either on the phone or, pull up. Yeah, all that texting ain't where it's at. So I like even leaving voice notes versus texting somebody. I get in a text war with my son because I know at least sometimes I'm getting a conversation or getting a download on what's going on. So that's about it. But grown people, well, he's grown too. But he's a little special. He gets a little bit of a pass. But yeah, so you know, it's okay if you set boundaries wherever that needs to look like for you. And maybe you only want a text. Good luck with that. Set that boundary for whatever that needs to look like for you. No judgment. Expressing limits on emotional support. This one is huge, right? I had a cousin for a while. I had to get her together. Um, she would call me. I always knew something was wrong because that's the only time she called. They need me when things were going well, right? Expressing limits on emotional support. I want to be there for you, but sometimes I don't have the energy to support heavy conversations. Could we save those discussions for when I can be fully present and supportive? So what that looks like is they just start talking about just throwing up on you, like whatever's going on, when a a healthy boundary around that is saying, hey, I got something I really want to talk about. Do you have time to have this conversation with me? Asking for permission. And you do the same, right? If there's something, but more than likely, if you're the person that has to set the boundaries, you're probably the one that they're really coming to for the emotional support. And so it's a habit. I had another friend, we were always talking about things that were heavy around his family. And I was like, after a while, I realized I'm not your therapist. You need to talk to a therapist. And I had to say, I'm not going to have these types of conversations with you anymore. If it's making me feel like I'm a therapist, I need you to go get you a therapist. So and he did. I loved that so much for him because it was helpful to him too. Now, I thought it was funny because he told her, I'm here talking to you because my friend told me she wasn't going to talk to me no more, that I needed to come talk. He called himself telling on me. So I thought that was funny. And it's good now. We're able to, he's getting his needs met and we can still chop it up and all of the things. Right. So I love that. Okay. So I want to be there for you, but sometimes I don't have the energy to support heavy conversations. Right? Could you save those discussions for when I can be fully present and supported? So they've got to ask you permission. That's your power to say yes or no. Not right now. And I know it's going to take some practice, but you can do it. Okay. Boundaries around social media and technology. I don't know where I fell off, but this one I got to put back in place as so this one is for me too. So when limiting social media time, I'm working on reducing my screen time. So I'll be limiting my responses to social media messages. If it's something important, feel free to text me directly, right? Or just turn your phone off, just like I showed you that you can set that focus time uh, for work and do not disturb. You can do the same thing with the phone for social media. Decide maybe you're only going to do 30 minutes of social media, set a timer. And when the timer goes off, get off of there. Some people use it for news and all of those things. So I get that. Okay. Yeah. Because these phones do everything now. So let it help you. All right. So next is setting boundaries for privacy. So these are the scripts, right? Um, I'd appreciate it if you didn't tag me in posts or photos without asking first. I'm mindful of what I share online. Ooh, yeah. I have my tags turned off on Facebook because I can't keep saying that. It was too much. And Messenger. People sending me all these messages. I block people on Messenger all the time. I don't like getting all the videos. I don't click on them. That's how you get viruses by clicking on things. So I don't even engage. And it will really get you caught up, right? It's a time waster, looking at all of that stuff. And sometimes it's stuff that I'm not interested in at all. So yeah. So that's one. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tag me in posts or photos without asking first. I'm mindful of what I share online. Yes. Okay. So here's another one. Boundaries with self-care and well-being. Protecting your self-care time. Replace care with love. Your self-love time. It's time for you to love on yourself. Okay. So here's what you want to say. I'm setting aside an hour each day just for me. During that time, I won't be available for calls or messages, but I'll get back to you afterward. And sometimes you don't even have to say it. You don't have to make an announcement. You just do it, right? Set that time and don't respond. People are smart and bright. They'll get the message you're not available. You don't have to explain that to everyone. And if you do feel like you do, then you need to look at that too. Why? Why do you feel like you need to explain that to someone? You're grown. It's your time, it's your life, it's your business, right? It's the business of you. You minding your business. That's okay. That's going to feel real good to you after a while. Okay. Here's another one. Setting boundaries around negative self-talk. Be kind to yourself. You are stuck with you. And if you want better for yourself, talk nice. Talk nice like you would want somebody else to talk to you. Because sometimes you're going to need to encourage yourself if you haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. You know you better than anybody else. So pump yourself up. You know what you need to hear, all of the things, right? Tell yourself, I'm working on building a positive mindset. So I'm avoiding conversations that focus on criticism or self-doubt. Let's keep discussions supportive and constructive. You can tell that to other people. You can tell that to yourself. You can look at what you are taking in on social media and television, the people that you hang around and the conversations that they're having, the books that you're reading, the music that you're listening to. All of that is important. If you do an inventory, I have an environmental detox that I take my clients through, right? And we look at everything. We look at the friendships, we look at what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you hanging around, who you're talking to, how they're talking, because sometimes you may not even realize you're doing something because you're imitating somebody else. You might not realize that you're repeating something because you heard somebody else say it, and that ain't even how you feel. You're just repeating it. So check in with yourself around that. Okay. So I recognize this is a long topic, but it's an important topic. It's probably the most important topic, after vision. Because once you have a vision and you want to get where you're going and you set those goals, boundaries come into play because it's the way you get your needs met. So you can't be willy-nilly with yourself. Okay? All right. And drop any questions if you need help with scripts and what to say to set boundaries, hit me up, send them my way so I can help you with them. Okay? For managing personal energy. Ooh, that's a good one. This, these kind of overlap too. Oh, and let me come back to setting boundaries around negative self-talk. A great way to do that is affirmations. Have love notes to yourself all over the place. I have a couple things that I want to remember. I used to have them on my bathroom mirror. I've never really talked to myself badly though. But when I was in a season of disconnection and not knowing who I was, I had them all in my prayer room, like everywhere. Most of them are downstairs on my mirror. I am going to bring a few up here because I gave myself some new names that I was striving for. Let me see. I can tell y'all what that looked like because sometimes you need that. Ooh, I got another question. I love questions. So ask me your question. Let me see if I can tell y'all what the new names are, where I came up with. I was in another session and oh, my planning name. Okay, yeah, but I got my notes, put it on sticky notes. So I'm Miss got my shit together because that's the goal that I'm going for and the goal that I help others with. Miss making money is easy, right? Miss abundance to give and receive, because that's what's going on with this, with the boundaries, right? You you you're a giver, but you haven't practiced receiving yet. Okay. That's something else that I give to clients, an exercise to practice receiving. So we may do that here too. Let me write that down. Practice receiving. Okay, that would be a bonus one to really help you. You're having a hard time because you're not used to receiving. Okay, got another question here. It says, I see that you make time by waking early, but why not for getting in a quick nap to prolong the day? Why not getting in a good nap to prolong the day? Well, make time for a nap if you need a nap. So that's another thing. I have reminders. I have a midday reminder and I have evening reminders when it's time for me to wind down for things to do. And one of my midday reminders is, what do you need? Like, how am I feeling? And it asks me, do you need a nap? Do you need rest? Do you need water? Do you need to eat? Like, do you need to recording is like journaling or when I talking to my recorder on my phone because I don't have the my journal with me or something. So I record. Sometimes feeling things are feeling stressful and you need to get things out. It's a good way to put a placeholder to show those things. Do I need to meditate? Do I need to pray? Like, what's going on? So I check in with myself throughout the day so I don't get overwhelmed. I don't, let things get away with me. So I wouldn't take a nap to prolong the day per se, but I would take a nap because I need a nap because you still want to get your rest. I know I need 7 hours. I need 7 hours rest or I'm going to wake up not feeling rested. So schedule your time accordingly. Don't be trying to make up stuff on the back end and compromise your rest, because that's part of the business of you getting enough rest, getting enough sleep, eating quality food that's going to help you be your best. All of those things are keenly important, and only you can make them happen and be responsible for them. Okay. So thank you for that question. That's a good question. So naps are bae. I got a good friend that takes a nap every day, at least during the week, his work week. So I already know to honor that. I try not to call him before 7 o'clock because I know he's usually napping up until 7. Or if I do call, I know I'm going to leave a message. I'm not going to get through to him because he's likely napping. Or I catch him on the front end before the nap happens earlier in the day. Okay. So naps are bae. That is another form of self-love and self-care. Take a nap if you need rest. So I love people that can take naps. I've been working on mine. I don't get it in as much as I would like to. But I love it when people get to take naps. And isn't that funny? When you had to take naps when you were younger, you didn't want to take naps. Man, now as a grown-up, naps are bae. They really are. I'm not here for team no sleep. That's crazy to me. Okay. So for managing personal energy, right? You want to say, I've noticed certain topics or conversations drain me, so I'll be limiting how often I discuss them. I'm focusing on things that uplift and energize me. And affirmations are always great. You can pump yourself up. You know, I record messages and self-love notes to myself all the time. And it's edifying if you have not done that to hear your own voice encouraging you. You'd be surprised. So that's another thing that you do, right? Um, so self scripts, self-talk scripts. They are very powerful. I almost, and I probably will bring it back. It's on my idea board to do some self-script recordings and make them available to folks, probably for purchase, because they are life-giving. Okay. So reminders for reinforcing boundaries. Be firm but kind. It's normal to feel nervous or guilty, especially with close relationships. Remember that setting boundaries is an act of love for yourself and others. It really is. Don't over-explain. Stick to a simple, direct explanation without over-justifying. Trust that you have the right to protect your time and energy. You do. Consistency is key. Enforcing boundaries consistently help others learn to respect them and to respect you. If you waver, they may assume your boundaries aren't serious. Because you would do the same too, right? Oh, they ain't serious. Sometimes they doing this, sometimes they doing that. So be about the business of you and protect your energy and your peace and use your power and your voice. Okay? So these scripts are for you. These boundaries are for you. They'll help you communicate effectively. They'll help you claim your own time, energy, and well-being as a step to confidently manage the business of you. All right. So as a bonus, I'm going to throw this out there. If you so choose, I believe this will help you as well. It's practice receiving. And in order to do that, you have to ask for help once a day. And it could be something simple. Be in the grocery store and you ask, if you're a woman, you ask the man in there, instead of you picking up the case of water that you need, ask them if they would mind picking it up for you. Men love being heroes. They love helping women, right? They're strong and that's their strength. So ask for the help and it'll get you in a posture of receiving. Ask for help once a day. Even if you don't need help, you know, you could do it yourself, yes, but allow someone else to help you. That other people want to be of service too. They want to help. So, but they can't read your mind. So sometimes ask and allow them to help you once a day. Try that for 1 week and see how it feels. And if it feels good, keep doing it another week. See if you can get in 30 days of asking for help and it'll become a practice, especially my women. Men too, same thing. We ain't got to be strong all the time. We a village around here. Let your village help you, okay? Especially my men friends. You know, we want to help you as much as you help us too, okay? Well, that's a wrap. That's all I have for you. I'm gonna give you a quick recap on setting boundaries like a business. Step one, in your boundary setting action plan, identify where boundaries are needed. Step two, define your boundaries clearly. Step three, plan your response. Step four, practice your scripts. I gave you a number of scripts. And then step five, commit to them and reinforce them. And the way that you can commit to them is write a commitment letter to honor your boundaries and sign it and date it. Hold yourself accountable to that if you know you weak in this area. All right. And I gave you some practical scripts for setting boundaries. So you may want to save this video and come back to it again and again and take those notes if you haven't already done that. That looks like boundaries with family and friends, boundaries with work and clients, boundaries when you're overloaded at work, protecting your focus time, and then boundaries in romantic relationships when you need time alone, right? Setting boundaries around communication, expressing limits or emotional support, boundaries with social media and technology for your time management on social media, boundaries for privacy, and then boundaries for your self-love, care, and well-being, okay? Protecting your self-care time, managing your self-talk, managing your personal energy, all right? So those are the things. Those are all the things. And then the bonus is practice receiving. So ask for help once a day. Take the pressure off. Take the pressure off of yourself, okay? So Coach Selina here. I help women struggling to get their shit together, and you replace shit with whatever that looks like for you. That could be your act, yourself, your money, your time, right? So that you could have financial and time freedom to live a life that you love. All right? If you got questions and you want to set up time with me, you need help in these areas, you can book a connection call with me. Just click the link in my bio. I do life and business coaching. So select the link that makes is closer to the needs that you have. And join me again next Sunday. I don't have a guest, so I'll be talking about the third key to the business of you. Okay? What is that third key? Let me just tell you. My third key is financial freedom as a personal KPI, a key performance indicator. So I look forward to checking in with you next week. Same time, same bat channel. Until then, in between time and in the meantime, take care of yourself. All right. Bye. And know that I love you. Oops. I'm so pumped up, I forget where to turn the thing on. All right, all right, all right, all right.